Welcome everyone to Money Talks Live, the Focus Fire Fireside Chat. Before we begin today, I want to pause for a moment of remembrance. Today marks 24 years since the tragic events of September 11th. Let's take a moment to honor the lives lost, the families forever impacted, and the courage of those who responded that day. We remember. I'm excited to be with you today for a multitude of reasons. So 15 minutes or so, arguably 5, before we started, I had so many tabs up that I could not find this particular screen. I tried everything. My producer and my guests were like, try this, try that. So it was like the trifecta of this 3-strand cord helping me to find myself because I was lost. And I kept thinking about how sometimes that's real life, right? When I could hear my voice and I could hear their voices too, but I could not find them. And the reason I couldn't find them is because I had all of these tabs set up. And why do I have them all set up? Because I feel like I need them in order to get my work done. When, if I'm being honest, it's really fractured thinking. It's really that I have these tabs up and I need to finish what the tab was up for, which would decrease the number of tabs that I have. Now, I know that about myself. I don't know why maybe you have 10,000 tabs open. And I just said that because I probably have 20,000. So no shade, no judgment here. But I thought if I could just stay focused on their voices because I believe that they are there and I could hear my voice. So I know that I am there. And I realized calmly, I need to close tabs. So as I began to close tabs, it was like I was getting closer to shore. And I kept closing the tabs until the tab that was the StreamYard popped up because it was always there. I had to let go of something that I thought I needed to get what I really wanted. And sometimes it's like that with life. How many things are we holding on to that we say we need and we're passing up on the thing we really want? The thing that we should be focused on, this thing that we should be dialed into, the thing that is right there in front of us. We can hear it, but we're having trouble seeing it. That's what happened to me today. I let go of the tabs. Some of them I didn't even know what they were. But in making that decision, it was a little hard. I felt uncomfortable to let go of the tabs that I felt like I needed. But in truth, I didn't need them. I actually can bring them up at any time. But what I really wanted, what I really needed to get to was the tab that I'm on right now. So if you're in your life right now, like, I can see what I want, I feel like I need to hold on to something that makes me feel comfortable. Remember that you have to make a decision. One, to be able to tell the difference between what you want and what you need. And two, to be able to be honest with yourself that when you do release that, you believe that it will be better because taking that action, what's easy isn't always better, and what's better isn't always easy. Choose better. The outcome will always be better for you. So, again, I'm excited today. The 4 keys to master your money without a budget you hate didn't always start off that way. It was actually originally called the Financial Freedom Workshop like 10 years ago. And I started doing the Financial Freedom Workshop because I had a burning desire to be debt-free. And I had student loans, I had credit card debt, I had medical bills. And I actually had been walking around with this book. And by walking, I mean carrying it around with me for 10 years, called God's Plans for Your Finances. Never read it, but boy, did I take it from apartment to apartment and from state to state. And one day I sat down and I read it. And the things in it were so simple that I first should have known myself. And second, I actually didn't know that God talked about money this much. That was a new concept for me, right? I thought that money was evil, money was bad, people with money were bad. Then I was mad that nobody ever taught me about money, that I went through 12 years of schooling and nobody taught me how to balance a checkbook or what compound interest was or what was the difference between one CD and another and why should I use this bank? None of that. But I was taught how to make money. But that's not enough. Because if you make money and that's all you do, all you're going to do is be a consumer. You will not be a producer. And as I've said oftentimes here, there's 5 uses for money. You make money, you save money, you invest money, you give money, and you spend money. Spend is the last one. The reason is if you make money and spend money, most likely you will not have any money to save, to invest, or to give to causes that you're passionate about. It has taken me a long time to learn that. And the Focus Fire workshop evolved into the 4 keys. And folks have gone through this. And sometimes it's good that your misery turns into your message. And my message is you can be good with money. You can learn how to use it correctly. You can be debt free. You can be a good manager of your money. And my guest today has seen the evolution of this. And she has gone through the Financial Freedom Workshop, which is now the 4 keys to master your money without a budget you hate. And her journey is something you need to hear because I think you will relate to not just where she's been, but where she is now and where she is going. So I'm excited to introduce you to this person. She's a powerhouse leader who wears 2 important hats. One as the Chief Operating Officer of Community to Community, a nonprofit whose mission is development with dignity focused in Haiti. And she's also the CEO of Live to the Max Pilates as a, sorry, I don't know what that was, as a certified Pilates instructor with over 8 years of experience with multiple types of bodies, whether men or women, different shapes, different sizes, which is required if you're really going to help people to get their health all the way right. So her focus is women, and she empowers them to unmute their inner strength, to balance their mind and their body, and to live life to the fullest. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming my friend, my colleague, my warrior in the trenches with me in making this world a better place, Olivia Maxine Robinson.
Hey, hey, hi. Oh my gosh.
Happening.
It's
We're here.
happening. We're here. We're here. I love how we always say that. Mind you, we've been here for 15 years. So
Exactly. But for the record, we're on the same yard together.
this is
Okay.
true. This is true.
For sure.
I'm quite excited for just to be here in StreamYard with you.
So I think we should just get straight to it.
Okay.
I think we should not dilly-dally here. I
Doesn't
think folks
serve
need to hear.
anybody.
It doesn't. So tell folks, what has been your financial journey? What has been your journey with money?
So my journey's been an interesting one. Because I've always had money, or rather, money's always been there. But yet, I always told myself I'm not good with money.
Mm,
And that has been the revolving conversation with just me, myself, and I for a long time, probably since I started making money. So interesting that you had said that. Um, I've always known how to make money, or I've made money, right? Since I started 16, yeah, 16 as a hostess. And that was because I decided, all right, well, my mom and my dad, um, they pay the bills, but I want to release a little bit of the burden. And for the things that I personally want, like some clothes or to go out with my friends, to have dinner and stuff like that, I was like, it's time for me to make money, right?
mhm, mhm.
And so I've been doing that since I was 16. And but still always told myself I'm not good with money.
Can you unpack that a little bit in the sense of
Yeah,
that is a mindset, right?
it is a mindset.
With money. Where did that come
Mhm.
from? Do you have a money memory that led you to believe that?
So I think for me, it stemmed from the fact that money was always there, but I wasn't necessarily taught how to, or learned, right? Even in the educational system, what money really is,
Hmm,
how to make it work for you. It's not just something that we make, it could be investing, which is, again, you don't even really necessarily see that money, but it grows to the betterment of your own life.
mhm,
So doing that, I didn't, these terms, I didn't understand them. And so
mm,
therefore, because I didn't understand them, and money sometimes always scared me because I would see it come and go, but also not so much me, but when we experienced getting into debt, and then the things that we my family and I didn't have to necessarily think about, we had to start thinking about. So little by little, that's when I started to understand, okay, money is a thing. It comes and goes, and
mhm.
you have to be mindful of that and also save. So that's when I started to learn to save. But again, didn't learn how to make it grow, and that it was okay for it to grow in various ways.
When did it get to the point where you absolutely had to deal with, like, you ran into a wall that whatever you were meandering around, that
Mhm.
you were like, "Okay, this is now detrimental. This is not working, what the way I'm doing things."
That is easy. Um, when my dad got sick and went into a nursing home, and I was his sole provider, and he did not have the money to necessarily, we could be like, okay, like, we know this is how it's going to work. Like, he got sick and he had to go into the nursing home, and the money's there.
Mhm,
We had to fight for that. I had to go through, really, me and my mom
mhm.
uh had to go through the process of figuring out medical insurance for him to ensure that he'd be okay.
Meaning that the cost of the facility would be paid for, and then also the
Exactly.
needs would be paid for. That
Exactly. But
okay.
also knowing that that necessarily wasn't a guarantee. And I had a job at the time. But that job was becoming toxic and I wanted out. But I was terrified to leave because in my mind, I was like, I have to take care of him. Money has to still be coming in.
Mm.
So even though I was there, I also realized this isn't healthy. You're afraid of money. Money's controlling your decisions right now, as opposed to being like, all right, his health comes first, your health comes first. What are my options? Fear has a funny way of keeping you stuck and thinking you don't have options. And therefore, when you minimize those options, you minimize all the other opportunities. And so that's what I was starting to do. And it kept me stagnant.
Did it reach a point where like you had no choice but to face it? Were you
Yes.
like, how were you feeling in those times when it was the job, your dad,
Mhm.
your health, his health, all of the things? How were you feeling and at what point was there the break?
Mhm. So I was in a very vulnerable state. I was feeling vulnerable. I was feeling powerless.
Mm,
I was feeling out of control, which is not something that I'm used to feeling. I always feel like I'm in control. But this was something that I truly had no control over, or at least I thought. So
mhm,
I stayed at a job that was slowly killing me. I stayed, in a mindset that was slowly killing me, in essence. And finally, I just I was like, I'm done. I can't let this control me anymore. And so really though, I have to say, I think the breakthrough happened when I had left the job, but was still fearful because I had no plan. I had money saved, but I still was like, all right, God forbid dad doesn't qualify, or like something happens with his Medicare or Medicaid. What do I do? So the breakthrough though officially happened when I was sitting in that room actually with you on your floor. And we sat down and we looked at my numbers, because that was another thing I did not like to do. I don't like looking at numbers,
mm,
right? Like, because the money I always felt good when the money was coming in. But after I left the job, the money was not coming in regularly, but it was leaving regularly my my account. Um, and so it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure, but I also realized that instead of leaning away from that, I must lean in
mm,
to come up with the solution. And the solution was sitting down. You literally, at one point, I think, grabbed my hand. I was shaking, and we looked at my numbers and we worked out my budget, which was also something that was not tangible for me because I didn't really know how to construct a budget. I was just not educated. That's really all it was. I just was not educated in that.
So you bring up a good point there, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with such detail, because I think
Mm.
sometimes people try to distance themselves from how they feel and how what money
Oh, I was
makes them
terrified.
feel like, because people like, "I'm an adult, I'm not gonna show this kind of weakness, to people, and I should know how to manage money because everybody else does." They don't.
Yeah.
Um, but, you said something important that I want to make sure that folks hear this, and that is there's a difference between being stupid and being ignorant. This is my own personal definition, so I said what I said. Um, being ignorant is that you don't know something. You don't know it. But when you are provided the information, you are now responsible for it.
Mm.
So if you
Yeah.
are, you know, using a stove, for example, and I tell you if you put it on 4 is the highest, and if you put it on that, the food will burn. And before you were just trying to figure out how to turn it on, then you were trying to figure out how to boil and everything else. So now I've imparted to you, press, turn, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the highest. That's your boiling water. So everything else you want to do is going to be less than that. If you want it to simmer, it's on 2. Like I impart all this knowledge to you.
Right.
So if the next day I come in and you have burnt the food, when I literally said 4 is the highest that it can go, that was stupid because you had the information and you did not use it, right? That's when it's, as they say, dog bites you once, shame on the dog. But dog bites you twice, shame on you. Because you knew that the dog bites and you still went down that same road that you know was going to result in that. So I'm glad that you're giving yourself grace by saying, I did not know, I was not taught.
Yeah.
Which for me equals ignorance, which for me equals I can be taught, and then I will know, and I will make better decisions. Earlier, you said something, I had to write it down. You said, I realized it's time for me to make money. Because that is what the system tells us to do, right? You even said, I saw my mom and dad and what they were doing. I wanted to contribute. I wanted to go buy my own clothes. So you speak the terminology and the language of the consumer. You did not say, it's time for me to learn about money, how it works, how it grows. So I'm going to get a job so I can get the money, and then I'm going to figure out how to disperse it. We don't say that.
No.
We say, I want to go buy clothes. The first thing we say, the reason we want to go and get money is because we want to consume something. But you're indoctrinated. By the time you made that decision, how many commercials had you seen about jeans and clothes and
Oh
shoes,
my gosh.
cars and everything else? So mentally, we don't even see that that's happening. So I appreciate you saying it's time for me to make money. It wasn't for you to make money. It was time for you to understand about money
And
before
money.
you went to go and make money. That was one.
Yep.
So after we sat here and you made your budget, how did your mindset change? What was it that how did you feel? Like my mindset before the budget was this. My mindset after the budget was this.
So I would love to sit here and tell everybody that, yeah, in a day, my mindset was changed, and I know how to budget, and I'm making all this money, and I'm saving this money, and I've, invested my money in all of the stocks and bonds and other, the stock market, right? And I'm giving to all the amazing causes that I want to give to. I would love to sit here and say that. I literally felt better for 5 minutes, and then I left and the mindset was still there.
And what does that tell you?
That our mind and what we feed it is so powerful. You can feed it really great things. You can feed it not so great things. But you have to, and you told me this, you have to choose what you're going to feed it. That is an intentional choice. And then it's not just telling yourself things, it's actually taking action. It is me sitting down and writing things out. It was me sitting down, looking at my numbers, creating a budget, which by the way, I like then to simplify it, I went online and I educated myself. I watched a video, especially because I was starting my own business. of how to set up my income, expenses, and all the things. And I started plugging in the numbers. I had to intentionally choose to do that, to actually see what I was working with and to actually see that I made money myself, not for anybody else, but for me, that I can do it. But I couldn't accept that until I literally took that action of creating my budget and putting in my numbers. And not just what I was making, but also the expenses and how they balance each other out or cancel each other out and what I'm left with after the expenses are taken out.
Correct. Correct. And this is an important business thing also that you just said. So closing out the mindset part here is that our mind is set, but it can be reset.
Yes.
It can be reset. We can set it on
Mhm.
something else. You can set your mind on fear, on I can't, on I'm not going to open up the budget, on my
Mhm.
chest feels tight. So that's it.
Yeah.
You can also set your mind on I am scared, but I'm going to go watch this video. My chest
Mhm.
is tight, but I'm going to go into this spreadsheet.
Mhm.
I know how I feel, but I also know what I want in the life that I desire. So I'm going to intentionally engage in action that's going to change this set to this set. So that's
Mhm.
important for folks to understand that you can always change your mind,
You can. And
but
I
it's
did that
not
recently.
action to do it.
Exactly. And it could be, like I said, the littlest thing where, remember I said I don't think I'm good with money, and looking at money or having conversations about money scares me. Recently, I intentionally decided to sit with my mom while she was talking to her financial advisor and learn how that whole process works of portfolios and how the 401k works. Before, I used to be like, yeah, okay, I'll sit with you in my mind. Or she would invite me, right? She would say, you should come and sit with me. But the fear of it feeling like I wouldn't understand it shut me down.
And where, this is an important thing, the fear that I wouldn't understand it. Let's go 3 layers down. What is this really about? That you need to know something that you don't know.
Yeah,
Perfectionism, maybe?
perfectionism. Yes, 100%. Perfectionism. That is, I like to joke around, even though it's not joking, and say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. Um, but I am, and I also now see how much that has held me back from learning, from doing. My goodness, from doing.
Yes, that is absolutely right. I share with my clients, and I'm sure I've said it to you, our goal here is not to have a perfect life. Our goal here is to have a wonderful life. In a
Mhm.
perfect life, you never get to do anything. You just maintain the monster. You keep feeding
Yeah.
it and keeping it up. Whereas in a wonderful life, you fall down sometimes, you make mistakes, you fall in love, you fall out of love, you get this job, you get that job, you have experiences. And the reason we want to have a wonderful life is at the end of that life, we have wisdom that we can share with people because we've had experiences to share with
Mhm.
people. And then when we leave legacy behind,
Yeah.
which perfectionism does not offer, because what do you have to tell people? Nothing bad has ever happened to you. Your life has been great. All your relationships have been great. You've always
Mhm.
handled money well. So what is it that you have to offer people? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
has having a coach helped you not only with money decisions, but with confidence, strategy, and balance as a leader?
It has been the game changer for me. It has held me accountable. It has having a coach, right? Because I'm the queen of this, of saying, yes, I'm going to call this person, and then I leave it at that. But my coach is like, great. When? I need a date, a time, and I need it written down before the end of this month.
Did that get on your nerves when I would do that?
Oh my gosh. Like, I would be like, in my brain, I'd be mentally like slapping her. Like, be like, stop forcing me. Right? This is what the brain says. Stop forcing me to do this. Mind you, you need that. Because it's just then floating. It's just a floating then task that will never get done. It will never get done because there is no time frame put to it.
Correct. You've just defined what a delusion is later, soon.
There's no such thing, by the way, as later or soon. And I say that in reflecting today in particular. I'm sure the 3,000 lives thought that they were going to have a later, and they don't.
And how is this personal to you?
Oh my goodness. So this day is always a hard one, obviously. But for me in particular, I was sharing this with you earlier. I always make a point to thank God for my mom being late that day to work. We always joke around and kind of make fun of her. And I think it's also like a DeNiccolo trait, like we're always late for everything. But I've never been more grateful for that trait than this day 24 years ago, where she was late for work because she works at or worked. She's now retired. She worked at American Express, and she would have been around the time of the first plane hitting the one tower. She would have been walking to work and would have been struck by debris, the smoke, all of it.
Mm. Well, you're grateful today.
I am so grateful today. But like I said, also reflective of the fact that we are not promised later. We're not promised soon. We're not promised tomorrow. I like to say real time is the only time. And so that's why having a coach who is going to hold you accountable to keep yourself on track and make you like, I mean, sometimes the simplest call, do it right now. I can't tell you how many times I've like probably the simplest call I can make in my life that actually wound up turning out to be really great, I put off 4 months.
Yeah, you're not alone in that.
And I lost time.
Yep. Well, you know what I say, execute with urgency.
Yes.
So I agree with you on the only time is real time. That's a whole mindset itself. That's a whole, in my opinion, way of life.
Mhm.
And as we, for Focus Fire, our theme for the rest of the year is different by December. And that is mindset based of what is it that we're going to do every day, whatever the goal is for December. I put out a post the other day that was, I was in BJ's and the Christmas stuff is already up, right? And
Yeah.
the sales for the Christmas stuff. So I was like, what are we doing?
And the sales. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, it was like Monday was like Christmas, Tuesday was like 50% off. And I was like, did I miss it? Did I miss
Wow.
Christmas? Christmas? Did it happen? Right.
Well, some places it happens in July. So just
Correct.
saying.
So it's like they keep moving it up. So I think
Yeah.
about how that time of year used to be so hard for me because it was the holidays and the office parties and the Secret Santas and everybody's parties and the gifts and da da da. And so money spent, and then in January, the crash from the credit card, you know, like because you're not thinking about it while you're spending. So it's one thing that I'm telling folks, start thinking about now. Create a budget now of what is
Mhm.
going to be your holiday spending now. If you have a credit card that you usually use for this time, use it. If you don't,
Mhm.
allocate one of your cards or allocate a specific amount of money set aside for what you're going to spend on Christmas gifts, travel, Secret
Right.
Santas, all of the things, so that as it's going down, you know where you are, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
getting caught in the sales holiday machine will grind you out.
Yeah.
So, as both a business owner and a CEO of a nonprofit, what does different by December mean to you in this season of your life?
Oh, different by December. I would say that that means what you just said about executing with urgency. Do not do not wait. Do not wait to, like MarieYolaine just said, make that budget. Don't wait to make your budget for 2026. Start that now. Because I guarantee you, as our coach Andy says, yeah, from December 31st to January 1st, you're going to still be the same person.
Yeah.
All the resolutions you make, like I said, just like when I was sitting on her floor thinking, all right, I'm like, got a new mindset. No,
You said
no.
it earlier. You said 5 minutes after, you weren't like, "Oh,
Oh, it
life
was
has changed
the,
because I made a budget." It
yeah,
takes time. If you go to the
mhm,
gym, you're not going to lose weight in 10 minutes. So, it
exactly.
took us decades to get these mindsets. We have to give ourselves grace that it's gonna take a while, to learn the value of money. Somebody in the chat actually
Mhm.
put a comment of, it's helpful to show those new to investing the time value of money.
Yes,
Absolutely, you are absolutely
100%.
right,
Mhm.
to share that. So, I think
Yep.
it is when people attach that, I think it becomes valuable, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
thank you, Mate, I appreciate your comment very much,
Oh
of
my gosh, yeah.
of understanding the value of money. Because if you understand the value of money, you also understand the value of time, because they go
100%.
together.
They
Um
do. They do.
what are some of the shifts you've made that personally that you feel like others could benefit from, as they aim for different by December? What one thing do you feel like you've done or you've put into place right now?
Perfect. So, one of the things that I am leaning into in terms of being different by December is you have to build habits, right? You have to be intentional about that. And so for me, I know one of my biggest challenges is my mindset and the words that I say to myself.
Mm,
And so again, kudos to our coach in the mastermind that we're a part of. He gave us this powerful, very powerful, simple but challenging task of not so much writing down affirmations, but our I am statements. Very powerful what you put after I am, right? And
mhm.
so, one of the things that I'm doing, and especially as it relates to changing my money habits and my money mindset, is I'm going to read one of my commands. It's called Commands to the Crew. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Because
We're
I
teaching.
write them down every day. I write them down every day. And not only do I write them down, right? Because my therapist and I joke that it'll only get done when I actually write it down. And she's 100% right.
Welcome to the human
So,
race.
but not only do I write it down, but I tell myself, I say it after the fact too. So one of mine, especially around money, is I am a powerful money magnet and attract and make money in expected and unexpected places every day.
Mm,
That's important to me because for a while, especially when starting Live to the Max, I'm very good at working for others, right? and making money for others. Because really, yes, I had a income coming in, but I was really making money for other people. So when it came time to making money for myself through Live to the Max, I told myself, I don't know how to make money. No one's gonna take my classes. My God, was that the biggest lie ever, right?
Absolutely.
But I
Absolutely.
had to write this down, that I am a powerful money magnet, because
So,
that is a part of my identity.
so when you speak about Live to the Max, for folks who are new,
Yes.
Live to the Max is what? What do you do?
Live to the Max is my virtual Pilates business. I focus on mat classes using props as well. But yes, it is my virtual business to get your body and your mind tight and right.
Okay. Lola,
Yes.
Lola like that. Um,
Hmm.
Looking ahead, what excites you most about your dual role, leading at C2C and growing Live to the Max Pilates?
What excites me the most is that through both roles, because both roles are leadership roles,
Mhm.
I continue to grow as a person. And therefore, me leaning into the discomfort, because leading is very discomforting. It is not a comfortable position to be in. Um, you learn a lot about yourself. And so, what I am excited about is the growth that I will have, which will then in turn benefit the people that I'm called to serve.
Mm. And how do you think, when you think about that, um, from a money mindset standpoint, do you see how changing your money mindset impacts your role as chief operating officer at C2C and your role as CEO of Live to the Max?
Oh, 100%. Because again, and full transparency, man, I'm being really transparent here. This is very uncomfortable, but comfortable at the same time. Um, I didn't I did not like looking at budgets. I didn't like dealing with budgets.
Mm,
And that held me back. But that was simply because I was afraid. But in order to run businesses, you need to know your numbers. You need to be able to forecast and project what is happening now and what will be coming down the pike in the future. To know, okay, this is what we need to have in the account now, and this is where we need to build the account going forward.
mm, mhm, mhm.
So for me, it is leaning into and learning, allowing the embarrassment and the self talk of, you should know this already. Change that to, I want to learn this. I want to be knowledgeable of the numbers to grow these businesses, because it's not about me, it's about the people that I am called to serve.
Spot on. So you have done a great segue into um, what we do as a live engagement exercise. First, thank
Mm,
you so much. You have been, I think, given a lot of gems for people to think about, and definitely appreciate your transparency, because I think that fear and shame and guilt are one of the probably the top three that keep people trapped in financial bondage.
mhm.
And I want to be clear about this. This is not about rich or poor. This is literally about mindset. I know people who make 6 and 7 figures still not happy. So it's not
Yeah,
about the money as much as it is, or how much you have of it, or how much you don't have. It is really about what you think about money. That will
100%.
really determine your happiness, not with
Mhm,
money, happiness, period. So
mhm.
I invite everyone to engage in this exercise as well, to write down one money belief that no longer serves you, and share the replacement in the comments, right? So I know you have several. You mentioned, I didn't know how to make money. I didn't want to look at budgets. I didn't want to look at
Mhm.
numbers. What would you say would be a money belief that you had to say it? And then what is the one that you now replaced it with?
Great question. So as you said, I had many of them. But I would say the biggest one for me right now is I'm not I'm not good at making money. Or I cannot make I don't know how to make money.
Okay. And what did you replace that with?
And I'm replacing that with um I I am a money magnet, powerful money magnet, and I because I'm learning, I attract and make money in expected and unexpected places every day.
Beautiful. And I want to share with everyone how the first statement was closed and full of lack, whereas the second statement was open and full of abundance. That's how you know that you're in the right mindset.
Mhm.
That's how you know. So,
And also to add to that, like with learning, you're not going to know everything, and that is okay. That's where you go and ask for help. I know a lot of because I am a card carrying member. I don't like asking for help because I'm the helper. I'm the supporter. I help everybody else. That's going to look weird. I'm asking for help. It is okay. It is not even okay. It is mandatory, in
mm,
my opinion and experience, to ask for help. It is not a weakness. It is the biggest strength we have. Ask for the help.
I have nothing to add to that. That was a mic drop moment. Um, and I also want to say that this is the speech of by her own words, a perfectionist in recovery, because perfectionists don't ask for help. So to be able
Mhm,
to say those words out loud, I think is really powerful, because that is when you move from perfection to wonderful, because
mhm,
you let other people in. So Olivia Maxine Robinson, COO of Community to Community and CEO of Live to the Max Pilates, unmuting, uh, helping women to unmute their voices and reclaim their power. Thank you for being a good example of that by unmuting your voice today and bringing it uh, to everyone who's watching on Money Talks Live, um, to inspire and to give some actionable tips by sharing what you went through, that I think people will be like, okay, it's not just me. So I invite you now to come back if you'd like to do that. Okay. There's other
Of
things we can talk
course.
about. Okay, great. That was a
Of
yes. Right? It's
course. Yes.
film, as they say, so we know that. So
Mhm.
thank you for being with us today, and we look
Thank you
forward
for having me.
for coming back again.
Thank you. I look forward to coming back.
Whew, that was awesome. Um, I want to actually end with something that Olivia said, which was at the beginning, it's time for me to make money. And that was when she was young and saw the clothes, the shoes, the everything. And I would like to say, for those of you who can relate to that, to get a job, to consume things and make money, I would say at this point in our lives, if we have not already, it is time for us to understand money. It's time for us to understand money. And you can do that. That is literally why I created the 4 keys to master your money without a budget you hate. And I can tell you now what the 4 keys are, because it's not a secret. First, we've already spent most of the time today talking about this mindset. First, you have to change your mindset about money. Then you need to measure your money. We talked about that too. That was the budgeting and the numbers and knowing your numbers. Once you have addressed your mindset and you started to measure your money, that will automatically lean towards you learning how to manage your money. And if you add those three together, somebody else had mentioned in the chat about investing, you multiply your money. Those are the four keys. And in the workshop, we talk about those things. How do we undo our mindset in order to face any money trauma that we've gone through? And how did we get here? And where do we want to go? And how do we get there? We get there with a plan. And usually that plan involves a budget. So I encourage you. We meet on Saturdays at 11 a.m. I'm sure that the link is in the chat. You can register or go to focusfire.life and register there. We are building a movement of people who have finally free from financial bondage, not just to make income, because these are professionals, side hustlers, entrepreneurs, business owners, most of whom are making good money. They want to get their money right so that they can actually make more money to make income and impact. Did you catch that? Make income and impact. So I invite you, go to focusfire.life or click the link that is in the chat, register, and we'll see you on a Saturday for you to get on the road to financial freedom and financial liberation. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks again to Olivia Maxine Robinson for coming here and dropping those gems. And we will see you next time on Money Talks Live, the Focus Fireside Chat. Bye for now.